in Canada, the voice experience. Hey there, I'm Dr. Teri Fisher, one part physician, one part voice enthusiast, one big part Canadian, and one small part of our community, Northern Voice. Together, let's explore how voice technology is transforming our lives north of the border. Let's talk voice. Hello and welcome. I'm Teri Fisher, and this is a new event for us because this is a live podcast, and I am absolutely thrilled to be able to bring this to you and bring on a guest to talk about all Alexa, all Canada. It's going to be a lot of fun. So what I want to do is I want to introduce you to Celine Lee, who is the country manager with Amazon Alexa Canada. If you haven't muted your Alexa devices, you might want to do that. It's great to have you here, Celine. Thank you so much for being part of this.
Thanks for having me, Teri.
So why don't we, obviously we're going to talk a lot about Alexa and some of the differences between Canada and the US and all this sort of stuff. I know that my audience has been really excited to have somebody that can represent Amazon Alexa and speak to some of the things specifically for Canadians. So we'll get into all of that. Before we get to all of that, though, I was wondering if I could get you to introduce yourself a little bit to the listeners, to the viewers, and tell us a little bit about your background, how you got into all this stuff.
Yeah, so I studied microengineering and started my career in robotics as a research engineer. So I was really into technology, and I was, learning a lot about all of that. But after a few years, I decided that I wanted to be closer to the customer and transition my career into product management. And so I moved to the US, got my MBA at the Tepper School of Business at Carnegie Mellon University, and had an opportunity to do an internship with Amazon. And that's really how I transitioned into working on more customer-facing type of features. And most recently, I've been very grateful to be the country manager for Alexa in Canada. I'm enjoying this role. It's been really a great professional opportunity. And I think the best part for me is that I get to work on and directly influence products that make the life of customers easier. And then suddenly, the role gives me the ability to bring people together that have different backgrounds, different expertise to create something better. My team's mission is really to work on building these products and services that have a delightful experience that's relevant to customers in Canada. And we work from everything from product launches, new skills, partnership, to more customer-focused campaigns like recently Alexa Loves Canada.
Amazing. So do you know offhand, like how long have you been in that particular position as far as with the country manager for Canada?
9 months, yeah, since January.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, well, great. So lots happens in the world of Alexa. Things happen very quickly, as you know. And so I guess I'm just interested now with your position. What is your take sort of on the status of Amazon Alexa now with Canadians? What's sort of the state of the affairs with Alexa in Canada?
Yeah, so if you take just a quick trip down memory lane, it's been nearly 3 years since we launched Alexa and Echo in Canada. And initially we launched with just 3 devices, but have since had new products such as the Echo Show, Echo Studio, recently Echo Auto, also Eero devices. We're working hard to launch new features also, including Amazon Music free tier, Spotify free tier, Apple Music. We've added over 30,000 skills from third-party developers since the launch in Canada, which includes some that are truly uniquely Canadian experiences like CBC, Radio-Canada, Bell Canada, and more. So really the past few months we've launched a dozen of new experiences with new content. One of my favorite is that Canadian customers can now choose from over 50,000 recipes, including some regional ones like poutine in both English and French, and play games. I'm someone who likes cooking, and so that's a big one for me. We've also revamped our radio skills, which is one of the most popular requests, to make it easy for customers to find regional favorites. But if you look more recently, we've also something that's near and dear to my heart is that we launched French about a year and a half ago, and also last fall, Alexa became multilingual in Canada with the launch of the multilingual mode. So that feature lets customers switch between English and French when they talk to Alexa. I actually happen to live in a bilingual household, so I'll be able to ask Alexa for my favorite artists in French, and my kids will ask for spelling in English. And just this feature lets people, use their devices without compromising on their native language, which I think is really great.
Very
And then
Oh, sorry.
beyond the devices, the languages. One thing I was briefly mentioning just before was the Alexa Loves Canada campaign, which is something we did in July. A really localized experience for Canada Day and Saint Jean-Baptiste Day, which introduced new experiences that helped Canadians reflect and celebrate Canada with some of their favorite celebrities. So that the collaboration was an opportunity to delight and stay entertained and connected during those recent times.
Amazing. I'm curious, where's your French background from? Like, what's the history there for you?
I grew up in
nicely.
Switzerland, in the French-speaking part of Switzerland, and so that's my first language.
Okay, wonderful. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of the things that you mentioned, I know at times before they came to Canada, Canadians were like, "Oh, when's the recipes? When are all those going to come to Alexa? When's Apple Music and all that stuff going to come?" So, it has come. It's great. What has been the response from Canadians, generally speaking, to Alexa in Canada?
We love hearing how customers are using Alexa, and I'd say by far we continue to see music being one of the top use cases. Music listeners streamed an average of 20 hours of music via Alexa each month this year. But if you look at anecdotes in the last year, customers in Canada have asked Alexa to sing them a song over 1 million times. In case you didn't know, Alexa does compose her own songs. She raps and beatbox. She has dozens of original stories to tell too. I think another interesting part of usage is how people in Canada have been using skills, and that usage is up more than 70% year over year. And some of the most popular categories in Canada include games, trivia, news, but also radio.
Wow. So and a lot of those really don't surprise me, because that's what I hear about from the community, is using it to listen to music and so on. So that is really, really, really great. You mentioned the bilingual issue. What have been some of the opportunities about having a bilingual voice assistant in Canada, and perhaps some of the challenges as well?
Yeah, we really wanted to build a truly authentic experience for our French Canadian customers, and that included developing the new voice, local knowledge, skills, and so on. There's really a lot of elements and challenges that go into expanding Canada in other languages, when it comes to new accents and features that are locally relevant. I think, the thing we keep in mind is that, you can't just translate the experience that exists in the US or in UK, France, and bring it to Canada. It just wouldn't make sense. The culture is different, the language is different, favorite foods are different. Everything about Canada is unique, and so we wanted to be able to say, made for Canada and all customers in Canada. And so the multilingual mode is really allowing customers not to compromise. If you ask for the weather in English, Alexa will reply in English. If someone in your household speaks in French, it'll understand and respond in French. And that's really an opportunity for people to stay connected without compromising.
Wonderful. No, that's great. It's I can only imagine the technical issues that go into creating a multilingual voice assistant. I mean, it must be so complex, but wonderful. Another sort of hot topic topic of conversation these days is Indigenous peoples in Canada and issues with that. And I'm curious, how has Amazon Alexa looked, or have they looked into incorporating some of those issues and topics that are so important in the Canadian culture in our society?
Yeah, one recent example I can share is the Alexa Loves Canada campaign. So that was happening in July, and every day people could ask Alexa, do you love Canada? And it prompted kind of a new daily reflection. as part of that, on July 18, we had an editorial about the Selkirk Treaty. So, the negotiation in 1817 between the Indigenous leaders and Lord Selkirk. So, we try and make sure that we leverage our, the questions that customers may ask to include this topic as well.
Wonderful. No, that's really good. It's nice to be able to. You mentioned that the campaign. Sorry, what was the name of the campaign again?
Alexa Loves Canada.
Alexa Loves Canada campaign. I was following along with that for a while in July. I think it actually started July 1st on Canada Day, if I'm not mistaken. And it was really neat to hear. I know you had some celebrities like Alanis Morissette would give some comments on her thoughts of the day and stuff. So it's a really neat way to sort of celebrate Canada and bring that Canadian content. Obviously, another big topic these days is COVID-19 and the way it's changing everything, the way it's changing. I'm doing this podcast and trying to bring things to people in different ways. And I know that over time here, Alexa has been able to provide some information. Initially, it was quite limited, but it's has become more broad over time. What sort of the stance on COVID-19 and information that you can obtain from Alexa, at least from the Canadian perspective?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, we wanted to make sure that we could support customers because you're right, those are still unprecedented times, and use credible sources for that. So one example is that we're using guidance from the Public Health Agency of Canada and built an experience where people can use Alexa to check their risk level for COVID-19 at home using just their voice. You can ask, Alexa, what do I do if I think I have COVID-19? And we'll go through a series of questions about travel history, symptoms, possible exposures, and based on the response, provide the guidance from the Public Health Agency. But beyond just health, there's also ways of staying connected. We have Alexa video calling, so people can stay connected to friends and family near or far during the pandemic using their devices. Also stay entertained. A lot of people staying at home, and so the ability to browse top movies and shows on Fire TV devices, or have a family game night and play Jeopardy or Question of the Day with skills on Alexa. And one favorite in my household in the beginning of the pandemic was definitely asking Alexa to sing a hand washing song and play sings for 20 seconds, and that way my kids would thoroughly wash their hands. There's been a lot that we could do with the experience. I also want to mention beyond using the devices that Amazon has also teamed up with hospitals, schools, and some community organizations around the globe to supply Amazon devices. So that includes Kindle Fire tablets, Fire TV, Echo, and more to those in need during COVID-19.
Very interesting. I think it's great that we're able to obtain health information through these devices, because they're just so easy to use. As we all know, voice technology is just so seamless. So wonderful. I'm really glad to hear that sort of progress is being made there. Okay, moving along, I'd love to ask you a little bit about the differences between Alexa in the US and in Canada. So maybe, and I know this is a very interesting question from a lot of the Canadian users of Alexa. So maybe I can get you to just give us some of your comments on the differences between Alexa in the US and here in Canada.
Yeah, I think what we know is that even though Alexa is incredibly successful in the US and elsewhere, and customers tells us they really love the experience, we can't simply translate that and bring it to Canada. What works there would just not make sense in Canada. And so the culture being different, the language being different, the cuisine, national characteristics, everything about Canada is unique. And so Alexa needed to have a personality that is geared towards Canadian customers. A recent example of something that would just not have worked elsewhere is the Alexa Loves Canada campaign. That experience was really, truly built for customers in Canada.
That's great. And here's the follow-up that I know a lot of people are going to want to know. And this may be a little bit of a trickier question to answer for you, just given I know your position with Amazon. But I often get asked, why don't we have the same features in Canada as they are in the United States? Can you shed a little bit of light on that?
Yeah, well, first is we do hear, like you do, from customers that they really love that experience and are eager to have access to it. And internationalization of all our products and features and services is important to us. We're working hard to make these available everywhere customers want them. And we're really excited about things that we're able to roll out quickly outside of the US. And some examples include, Echo Auto, SideShaft, Spotify Free tier, and so on. Really the Canadian experience has to be built from the ground up, and it is best experienced by customers in Canada, and so that's the work that we're focusing on.
And the follow up to that is, whenever a new feature comes out in the United States, it doesn't take long. Usually it's been about 24 hours that there's somebody posting in our Alexa in Canada Facebook group, like, oh, this feature just came out. Why is it not here in Canada? What's going on? So are you able to shed any light on why some features take longer to come to Canada? That sort of thing?
I think one thing that I can tell you is that example, for example, about launching the French experience. We couldn't just take the European French, like a French that's spoken in France, and roll it out. Some accents or phrasing that are used by people in Quebec just wouldn't work with that model. And so that is one example of the work that it takes.
I have a feeling I know the answer to this next question, but I'm going to ask it anyway, because again, this is a really popular question from the community. Things like Echo Buds, Alexa-enabled Fire tablets, those sorts of things. Like, are there any timelines that you can share of when Canadians can expect to see any of these features that aren't in Canada but are in the United States?
There's no timelines I can share. We're happy to see the response from customers in the US, and we really hope to be able to release those everywhere where customers want them.
Yeah, okay. What are your thoughts on some of the things that have been hitting the news recently, like Alexa-enabled facilities, like the grocery markets where you can go in and you can talk to Alexa? Obviously not here in Canada yet, but thoughts on that and the opportunities for Alexa in there, and maybe eventually coming to our country as well?
I think it's a similar response. On a personal level, I'm always excited to see innovations at Amazon. That was one of the reasons I joined the company. And as we continue to listen to what our customers are telling us and their interest and desire for these features, we'll continue to focus on making it available to all countries as much as we can.
Wonderful. Yeah. So one thing that is in Canada, it did take a little bit longer to come, but it is here now, is the Echo Auto. So what are your thoughts on that? What has been the Canadian response to that? Any thoughts on the Echo Auto specifically and the Canadian perspective?
Yeah, just before our call, I was actually browsing the reviews that customers typed, and we're really happy with the response to Echo Auto so far. It's just a testament again to the convenience of this. One thing that it's been helpful in my household is when we do road trips to kind of limit the boredom of the time in the car, playing games together, listening to playlists that everyone is familiar with. So we've been happy with the response so far.
Great, that's great. All right, another very Canadian content-oriented question. So, as you mentioned, like Alexa in Canada is designed to be in Canada. I once heard Dave Isbitsky comment that the goal of this is to have Alexa not sound like a tourist in Canada and have Alexa sound like a native Canadian. And so there is Canadian content in there. If you ask specific questions, the one that I'm always asking about is like, I'm a hockey fan, so the Stanley Cup, and so. How does that work? Like, who comes up with this content? Who writes that content? Any comments on that?
Yeah. The tourist reference is a good one. I think you also don't want her necessarily to sound like an expat. So Alexa just needs to know about things that matter most to Canadian customers and have the personality and knowledge of a local. And so to achieve this task, we have a fully dedicated team to teach Alexa about Canada. And thanks to their hard work, Alexa knows her holidays, cities, key figures. She has favorite celebrities, books, and poems. She knows hundreds of corny jokes. She knows her sayings. And of course, she knows about local sports team. The goal is for Alexa's responses to be uniquely Canadian, and so my team works hard to ensure that the customers receive the answers they're looking for and that they're in line with Alexa's personality tenets. And so those are for Alexa to be always helpful, humble, and entertaining.
That's great. Yeah, no, wonderful. It's just something very special about that. When you do ask a question and it has that Canadian content, it's all of a sudden you have this thing that's in common, if you will, with a voice assistant. You have this common bond that you can share this common knowledge of the culture and the society. So, obviously it's done very purposefully, and I think it's great. Just a couple last little questions here to tie it up. But for those of you that are listening or watching live, if you do have any other questions, I'd be happy to bring them up with Celine. We just have a few minutes left here. So I'll put that out there for you, and I'll be keeping my eye on the feed here for that. But if Canadians do have feedback or they want to provide some suggestions to the Amazon Alexa team, what would be the best way to do that? What are some resources for them?
Yeah, a few different ways. Customers can submit feedback on their device via voice, and Alexa have feedback. And they can also use the Alexa app and submit feedback through there. And then finally, there's also customer service, which is happy to really feedback as well.
Wonderful. And then I'm just going to give a shout out here. We've got a couple people that were live on here. Dana was asking about kind of things about, again, products in Canada versus the frames. I did get a set of frames, but that was tied to a U.S. account, so that was kind of my way around that. I know some Canadians have done that. So the frames are not yet available in Canada yet, Dana. But finally, where can people go to just learn more and stay up to date on what is happening with Amazon? If they've got any other interest in this, in whether it's at a consumer level, at a business level, what are ways that people can stay in touch and learn more?
Yeah, one great resource is the blog, the Amazon's Day One blog, that has the latest updates, all things about Amazon and devices. We used it also a lot during COVID to relay our efforts on that front, so that's a great place to start.
Wonderful. Well, I think that kind of wraps it up. We have no more comment here from Janice. Janice, it's great to see you. And she says she loves it. It's great to be able to provide feedback to Amazon. So thank you to the Amazon team for being receptive to that. That's wonderful. I think that wraps it up, Celine. I want to thank you so very much for taking some time here on the podcast. Again, we have another comment here. Great to see the Canadian content and the efforts shared by Ray. So thank you for that as well. Wonderful, wonderful. So again, Celine, thank you for your time. I hope that we'll be able to stay in touch, and maybe as more news breaks about different products and services and features with Alexa in Canada, maybe we can do this again at some point and continue to bring the Canadians the most up-to-date information that we can.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. All right. Well, that wraps up the podcast. For those of you that are want to tune in to the of course, our other episodes, you can always go to ALEXA in Canada.ca /podcast. You can get all the previous podcasts there. You can also see show notes. Show notes will be published from this episode very shortly. And thank you again for tuning in. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Talk to you again very soon.